want to just say, and so we can have additional conversation if people feel otherwise, but I think today those are the two objectives, is to finalize the rubric and finalize the application itself, and maybe talk about next steps relative to timeline. But we probably likely will be having one additional meeting before we actually get together to score, to have a bit of a discussion about how we intend to hold those meetings going forward. So I didn't want anybody to be disappointed if we're not going to get to that today, most likely. So I just wanted to make sure everybody had that. There was a question from Dr. Greer.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Just very quickly, just reviewing these things. As we do this for the initial rubric, there's difficult for me to find any statements leading towards quality, with the exception of ACGME. And I just want to point that out, that I think that your academic institutions here can offer affiliations with libraries, sim centers, all the things that are necessary. Okay. And I think that that's one of the things we should put in the rubric at the very beginning. I just want to throw that out. I mean, that's an opinion only, and I understand what the process is. So I just wanted to put that, at least have it on the record.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I expect you'll be inserting that when we get to that part of the agenda. So I appreciate that. I didn't mean for us to skip past public comment. So please, Melinda.
Sure. So public comment, no action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and I would like to call for any public comment. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, approval of the minutes. I did want to make one, I'd appreciate somebody making a motion in a second and having discussion. I did want to point out that I think we might have gotten a little overzealous with the use of doctor as it in front of people's names. I know I'm not a doctor.
Oh, no.
So but there's a couple people on here who might have doctor that aren't actually doctors. So maybe we could just make that one correction. But is there a motion or any other comments people want to make?
Motion.
I so move we accept.
Second.
Who made the motion?
So who made the motion, the original motion? Oh, Dr. Greer. Who is the second?
Yeah, Raven.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Raven. And with that, is there any additional discussion other than name corrections? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? Thank you very much. Minutes are approved with the one modification.
Perfect.
All right. Next, item 5 on the agenda, presentation on final revisions. Melinda and Millman team.
Perfect. All right, I'm just bringing up the slides, so just give me one moment.
Sounds good. And as Melinda's queuing it up, I think one of the things that you'll notice with this deck, it is significantly shorter than some of the other ones, but the focus today was to just walk through some of the changes that you all had requested from the last meeting, specifically the ones where there was motions, and then some of the discussion items we raised at the very end. So there should be a direct correlation to the items that were raised as motions and then the items that were discussed at the end of the call, at the end of the meeting the last time, with regard to some of the editorial changes that were made. So if you could go ahead to the next slide, please.
Sure.
And then one more. So some of the, I wanted to highlight at first some of the larger scale revisions that occurred as a result of the meeting we had last week. The first is the application due date. The second is the residency requirements, particularly with regard to changing the language that was in the RFA to indicate that applicants should include their strategies to attract individuals who currently reside or are residing in Nevada. We added a completeness review per the council's recommendation. And we added language into the eligibility criteria to indicate that the organization that submit application should be eligible for ACGME accreditation as part of that eligibility criteria. So we'll go through those in more detail in the next couple of slides. If you could go to the next one, please. All right, so first and foremost, we'll get this one out of the way. The council recommended pushing back, or the recommendation the recommendation from the council was to move back the application due date by 1 week to April 24th, 2026. The award decision date would remain at June 30th, 2026. And so as such, the applicants would have an additional week for submission, and the council and NVHA would have 1 week less week for their review. So that was part of the recommendation from the council, and that was incorporated into the document that you have in front of you. Next slide, please. As far as the council voted that we changed there was a provision in the priorities as well as elsewhere in the document that talked about including residency slots for individuals that reside or are interested in residing in Nevada. And after much discussion, the council voted, and there was a motion made to change that language specifically to state that applicants would include their strategies to attract individuals who currently reside or are residing in or are interested in residing in Nevada, to put the emphasis on the applicants and their strategies to attract those individuals. And so rather than make it about the actual slots and who the slots were available for. So it seemed like it was a broader interest from the council in including the applicant's strategy to accomplish that goal. As part of that, it would seem that there'd be opportunities within the application, and as the applicants are making their proposals, that there would be opportunities to also consider whether or not there's a retention strategy as well. So at the very least, the applicant would propose their strategy for attracting these individuals, but then as part of the council's work, you can measure the applicant based on their strategy, but also potentially their ability to retain individuals that are interested in staying in Nevada. Next slide, please. And if at any point anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to interrupt me or raise your hand or anything like that. I'm happy to talk through anything that you see in front of you. The council was also interested in having that NVHA would conduct a completeness review to essentially take the place of some of those pass-fail elements that had been discussed as part of the scoring matrix. What you see in front of you now, there's an attachment E that has been added to the document, which will be NVHA's completeness review checklist that they would go through to make sure they have a complete application. And throughout the document, there are references now to the process in which NVHA would conduct that completeness review. And so I just want to raise that was added as a result of the council's vote. Okay. And then finally, the council voted to have to ensure that eligible applicants were those that well, sorry, let me back up for a second. The council asked that language be added to the eligibility criteria of the application to just state very plainly that programs not eligible for ACGME accreditation are not eligible for this funding opportunity, and that has been added now to page 5 of the document. It seems worth mentioning that in the intention of the requirements here are to create or expand new GME programs. And so really their eligibility to apply for is not a requirement that they have accreditation at the start, but that these programs are eligible for ACGME accreditation. And those, as you'll see in a moment with regard to some of the language that appears later on, there also is language added to the checklist that talks about the information related to that ACGME accreditation, as well as the language is not immediately in front of me, but that talks about a desire to apply for and receive ACGME accreditation if they're not already accredited. Dr. Hauptman, I see has a question.
Yes, thanks. Paul Hauptman for the record. Just want to make sure that we distinguish ACGME institutional accreditation from programmatic accreditation. So for example, UNR is accredited as an institution to deliver postgraduate medical education, and then each program under UNR needs their own accreditation. So which one are we talking programmatic? Are we talking institutional? Just trying to clarify that.
As far as the vote from the last meeting, the language was related to programs, not eligible for. So I wasn't sure if there's anybody else that can speak to that with a degree of knowledge.
This is Allison Netsky for the record. When we had the previous discussion, my understanding is that our focus was going to be on residency and fellowship programs that required ACGME accreditation versus some fellowship programs that are not under the ACGME umbrella. So maybe beneficial, but given the number of shortages that we have, that would be the focus, and therefore have some inherent, kind of guidelines, criteria, and, some benchmarking that makes it easier versus a non-accredited program.
Dr. Hopman? Dr. Hopman, do you still have your hand up? Do you have something else?
No, I'm sorry.
you just-
The hand shouldn't be up. I was just
Okay.
saying to Dr. Netsky that I appreciate the clarification, and I think she's correct with that point.
Okay, Dr. Greer?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be, but I did a fellowship that is not ACGME accredited, which is hepatology, under a program that was ACG accredited, which was gastroenterology. The reason it was not accredited is there's no boards for hepatology the same way when you go into advanced endoscopy. But I'm just thinking that, with what we're looking for in our criteria, and I'll just bring this up again, this is the only aspect really that reaches into quality of a program. And I think that one of the things we got to look at is not just numbers of doctors, but the quality of the doctors we produce. And in this state, we have the ability to produce the very best doctors I think in the country. So look at that. And the affiliation also works well for rural programs that might not have the hospital programs there, might not have libraries or sim centers or things of that nature for the education of the residents. So I just wanted that for the record, that, I just think we should be stronger in pushing for quality.
Is there a proposal other than a statement?
The proposal, what I had made the last time, which was that I think that preference should be given to programs that want to have an affiliation with one of the medical school programs in the state.
I think their application would speak to that.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing.
Well, this is Dr. Fry for the record. I think, Joe, that the applicant can read between the lines and will speak to that and strengthen their application as such. That's what I would want to do if I was an applicant.
True, but we're doing this as not the applicant, as the one that's giving out the public dollars to be able to produce these doctors.
So would there be points somewhere for that, or?
You could look at it that way. You could grade it. You could do it a pass fail or just a plus sign. What I'm saying is to get something to get these programs interested in the quality that they assure.
Well, quality is so is Fry for the record. Quality is an elusive thing if you don't have specific metrics to measure it by. So I think it's important to consider an applicant based on the quality of their application and the strength of their application, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to, in short order, come up with certain metrics to gauge the quality of a program by.
We're not gauging
Especially
the quality, we're gauging the preparation of the program to assure quality. One of the things in quality in education, of course, is material to read, is areas to be able to train your residents and things of that nature.
I think that might be already in the scoring rubric. So I'm comfortable with the rubric, but.
This is Stacy. Is this an opportunity, Andrew and Luke and Melinda, that we could maybe say, that anyone getting an award agrees to be monitored based, quality metrics as designed, with the committee, including rolling out and building out the project, but also ongoing. Would that help? Because I don't know if we have time to really outline
Yeah.
quality metrics, and I don't want to delay sort of. but I
Yeah, and I'm not trying to outline quality metrics. What I'm trying to say is,
Okay.
the same way we're saying use ACGME, that's a quality measure. By saying
then-
use accredited academic programs that are in the state as an affiliation to help you out with all the things that you don't have in there, which we know they don't.
I think we can say that we encourage the applicants to do that. I don't necessarily know if we want.
I think that would be fine.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
there's, in the reporting requirements, there seems to be potentially opportunities for the state to discuss some of that with applicants through your notice of award potentially. And
Okay.
so if there are additional expectations, it may be possible to do that.
Okay.
All right,
Dr.
excellent.
Netsky, did you have anything else? Okay.
And then you also, Dr. Kilburn.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Kilburn, I couldn't see you.
That's okay. It seems like some of these quality metrics we're talking about, like access to medical resources, literature, that kind of stuff, falls under the ACGME accreditation kind of requirements. So I think a good many of these things
Not necessarily.
under that statement. Well, the library certainly does, and there's several others. But I think that is kind of what we went with last time to achieve our kind of minimum level of quality. Understanding that university academic affiliation is another step up over.
100%. I agree with you. And I think that you need that step, but that's, I'm from the quality perspective, you guys, we've had a couple programs shut down. We've had programs that don't fill completely. And we have the physician talent here to not have that. So I'm looking for all the little things that we could do to assure that these programs stay around through quality so that we could have these physicians here. Hell, this is my town too.
Any other comments? Are we okay moving forward?
I'm fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Andrew?
Excellent. I just one last item I wanted to mention, and I think it speaks to something Dr. Hauptman raised during the last call. If you could go back to the prior slide. Just noting, consistent with the language that was suggested in one of your comments, Dr. Hauptman, we did add the bottom portions to the cover sheet so that the applicants would indicate their designated institutional official. They would indicate whether they're in good standing, and then they would affirm their commitment to apply for and receive ACGME if they're not already accredited. So that was the end of that. If you can, I think we can go on to the next slide then. So then finally, I wanted to just highlight for the council a few editorial changes that were made as a result of the discussion that was had at the end of the RFA discussion last time. Primarily just hitting on a couple of different things that the council members had raised as you all were reviewing the documents and making sure that if there was any clarification that could be added, it was added. And so here, just noting at the top, where there are references to the University of Nevada, Reno, we indicate the Nevada Health Workforce Resource Center to the university. We added that to the University of Nevada, Reno. To the eligible use of funds, we added a listing of eligible funding opportunities within that align with the budget document that's also included in the application. We indicated at the recommendation to the council that applicants may submit up to 3 programs per cycle for consideration, per funding cycle specifically. We added the word graduate in the middle of the indirect graduate medical education statement in section 5. We added in the cover sheet in attachment B that the primary applicant is the sponsoring institution. And then we added the references as noted on the prior slide to ACGME accreditation to the cover sheet. So those were the primary changes that were made to the RFA document as discussed during our last meeting. And I see you have a couple of hands up.
Dr. Packham?
Thank you. Andrew, just real quick, not to wordsmith this to death, but that Nevada Health Workforce Resource Center should actually be Research Center, not Resource.
Research Center, okay.
Okay. Dr. Houtman, did you have a comment? You typed something, but it went off the screen really quick.
Oh, talk about minor point. There should be a comma between Nevada and Reno, as in the University of Nevada, comma Reno.
Thank you. Anything else? Great.
Awesome. Okay, we can work with Melinda to make some of those minor changes. That shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so on to the scoring matrix. I think this was one of the ones that for the mathematicians in the room, caused some headaches, but ultimately I think we landed in a good spot. I want to highlight for the council that we made the voted upon changes to the scoring that were suggested by the council. So we increased the budget score to 30 points. We eliminated the feasibility analysis as its own line item in the scoring. We incorporated elements of the feasibility analysis into the budget narrative as requested. And then we also took 5 points from the needs assessment to arrive at 15 points. So now the budget plan narrative with feasibility analysis is 30 points. Project narrative is 65, comprised of a needs assessment at 15 points, work plan and impact analysis at 20 points, data collection and evaluation 15, and sustainability at another 15 points. And then finally, the letters of commitment will be scored at 5 points, bringing us to a total of 100 points. The
Andrew?
pass-fail elements, yes?
I'm sorry. I'll wait till you finish this. I just have a couple pieces to check.
The pass-fail elements have been removed from the section, and instead, the council members are given an opportunity to provide comments on the cover sheet and the project abstract as needed.
Great. So on page 26 and 27 of the actual document,
Okay.
I think it's like under number 3, I think we just need to update what the total points are. The maximum possible score for this section, it says under number 3, it says 15, and we moved it to 30. So if you look at the actual document itself,
Page 26.
Number 3, it says 15, and the total is 30. So it's in the description under number 3, just needs to be updated.
Oh, it needs, yeah.
Yeah, because it says the old number up here says
Oh, got
15
it.
and it's 30.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the same is true under number 4, under the project narrative. It says this section is worth 80 and we modified it and it's really only worth 65 now.
Okay.
So I think it just got missed because it was in narrative. And that was the only thing I saw when I was looking at it. Did anybody else have any comments or, I feel like this represents pretty much what we said. Is there anything else that Dr. Nepsky?
I just have one comment on page 3. The due date hasn't been updated. It still says April 17th.
Oh, that's right. It says it on the front page, but that additional date has not been changed. We can tweak that as well.
Thank you for seeing that. I didn't see that.
Thank you. I'm trying to see what you're seeing, Chair, on page 23.
Yeah, if you look at the language on page 26, page 26, and you see scoring criteria and it says 1, 2, under 3, budget plan, narrative, and feasibility analysis. At the end of that paragraph, it says maximum possible score is 15.
You're right. You're right. Okay, thank you.
And the same is true under number 4 and on the next page.
Thank
It
you.
says 80, yeah.
All right. But with these changes, Well, there's only a few, I have a few slides here just to walk through some of the additional changes, but we can make those
Please.
quick updates and get
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, those are just conforming things, though, you have it in the actual structure.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for catching that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And so basically the next few slides just detail the scope of the changes as we've discussed. So here you have the overarching score details as highlighted in our discussion. Next slide, please. Again, feasibility analysis has been moved to the first. For the description of the new and existing programs would be moved to the budget narrative, but then the description of the pair mix would be moved to the work plan section. So that has been adjusted as well. Next slide, please. And then finally, just some editorial changes to the scoring. Again, pass-fail has been removed from the cover sheet and project abstract. And instead, it just provides the council with an opportunity to just provide comments on those two pieces. Letters of commitment is now one single element at 5 total points. And then on the scoring overview adjustments on the very, very last page, we have removed the summary of application and the overall objective review boxes and just provided opportunity for the council to score those elements. So I think that summarizes the extent of our changes. I don't know if there's any other discussion that you would like to have, or if there's any questions the council has.
Questions, comments from the group? Nice job, Andrew.
All right.
So
Thank you,
with
everybody.
that, I'd be thrilled to have a motion for approval in a second.
Motion
Fry,
to
motion
approve,
to-
Leon Raven.
I'll second it, Fry.
Okay. Any additional conversation? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay, I think we have an application to
There we
move
go.
forward
There we
with.
go.
Amazing, yay. All right, so next on the agenda are next steps and timelines. Melinda?
Perfect. Thank you, Chair. Just gonna share my screen here. All right. So here we just kind of wanted to give the council an idea for, what are the next steps now that we have an approved RFA and scoring matrix? Now what do we get to do? So we'll just go through that here. If I can get my thing. Okay. So wanted to provide first a foundation, the advisory council, and then we'll talk a little bit about open meeting law. And then we'll go into the timeline and some of those next steps. So first, just a refresher on, the responsibilities of this advisory council. And this all comes from, statute as well as the two bills that were passed last session. Just talking about the primary responsibility of this council is to evaluate those applications for the competitive grants for the GME grant program and make recommendations to the Nevada Health Authority for funding those programs. And then, of course, also we have additional tasks to the council to study and make recommendations about, different types of GME programs and recruitment and retention, as well as collaborating with the Nevada Health Authority on ways to use federal financial participation in Medicaid, which is upcoming project down the road. So, get excited for that. But just wanted to throw that out there for you all. And now I just wanted to do an overview of the open meeting law. So for these slides, I'm going to turn it over to Jose at the Attorney General's office. And Jose, I'll get started with this next slide here.
Thank you, Melinda. Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Rivera, Deputy Attorney General for the record. So what is open meeting law? To get us started, we are looking at NRS Chapter 241. Essentially, the legislature finds and declares that public bodies exist solely to conduct the people's business, and both actions and deliberations must happen in the open. So the intent of the legislature is for Nevada government to operate openly and transparently, The goal is to ensure the public never feels that the government is hiding information or conducting business behind closed doors. Deliberations include any scoring materials and the related discussions of the public body. It is also important to remember that public records are available upon request and the government is expected to be forthcoming. Next slide, please. So when does open meeting law apply? It generally applies to all meetings of public bodies in Nevada, and that includes any subcommittees that the government might form. Legal exceptions to open meeting law are very strictly construed. Under this law, a meeting is a specific formula. It's a quorum plus deliberation or action. Quorum is a simple majority of the total body. To deliberate means to collectively examine and weigh the reasons for or against an action, and an action is defined as a majority vote of the members present. Next slide, please. So what happens when the open meeting law is violated? The government follows these rules because the stakes are high. Any actions taken in violation of open meeting law are considered void. The Attorney General's office has the authority to investigate and even prosecute violations. If a mistake is made, corrective action is recommended. While that might not eliminate the violation entirely, it helps mitigate the severity and ensures the state is doing the public's business in the open. Next slide, please. So when does someone need to disclose or abstain? So let's talk about conflicts. Conflict of interest is any personal extra. This may be a gift, a substantial financial stake, a private commitment, a client relation, or a close relationship that could affect your judgment as a member. You must disclose any conflict created by any of these. So disclosure just means clearly sharing all the relevant details with your fellow members at the time the matter is considered and before the matter is discussed. It's not a one and done deal. You need to disclose it every time that specific issue comes up. Whether you should abstain from a vote usually comes down to a reasonable person. If you believe that the average person would think your judgment might be compromised, it's probably best to step back. So abstention is only required when your independence of judgment is materially affected. If you do abstain, you will need to explain your reason on the record, and the quorum may be reduced under NRS 281A.420. You must also stop advocating for one side, though you may still share non-biased expertise or speak as a private citizen. That said, the rules generally favor staying involved. So once you've been transparent, you can usually continue participating as long as any benefit or harm to you is no different than for the general public. Next slide.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose.
So,
Yeah.
Melinda, I just want to circle back and make sure that we're all on the same page. My sense is you provided us this information in follow up to some of the questions that were asked last time about process. And so does anybody have any questions about open meeting law and what the requirements are?
I do.
Dr. Raven?
Yes, I'm not sure if this is the more relevant matter, but we discussed in the last two meetings that when we score individual projects, we intend to make public our aggregate scores, or if individual scores are disclosed, they would not be linked to a particular scorer. So under those public meeting laws and sharing materials, can we still preserve the anonymity of individual scorer even as we disclose the numbers related to the application process?
So Dr. Raven, I think you probably participate a lot in state government. So everything we do is public, every little thing. There's nothing in state law that says that the form you're filling out is confidential. And it's unfortunate, but if we do that, everything this committee does is void. Jose, you can maybe clarify this, but I mean, unfortunately, there's no way around this. This is all going to be public, just like any procurement is public. All those materials are public. Individual scores are public. There's nothing in state law that protects this committee unlike any other committee.
I completely agree with everything that was said. So this wouldn't survive a public records request. All the information would have to be put out in the open if anybody makes a public record request regarding this matter.
Dr. Hoffman, oh, sorry.
Sorry, may I follow up with that? I think we also discussed that if we are unable to essentially preserve the identity of individual scorer, can those names be released after finalizing the award? I think the concerns that were brought up, or the potential undue pressure on individual members of the committees to adjust their scores to favor particular community partners.
Stacy Weeks, Dr. Raven, everything we do is public.
Right. I'm not suggesting that we're going to conceal it. The question was at what point do we start disclosing that? Will it be disclosed before the vote is taken or after the vote is taken?
Every member has submitted a conflict of interest form. During our discussions, as I think Deputy Attorney General Jose was walking us through, is that during the process, if you scored someone and you benefit from that score during our discussion, you need to just disclose it. If you feel that you don't have it's not reasonable for you to be independent because of your conflict, you need to abstain. And that is, I mean, it sounds like I think most of us in this room, or most people can probably still vote, but that is, I think, a personal decision that's up to you. That's why we wanted to bring you that statute today, so you guys understand that we have to be very mindful, or we will end up in litigation. These funds will never see the light of day.
Thank you.
Dr. Hoffman?
I think Dr. Weeks answered my question, but I can't resist asking the attorney one last question, which would be whether or not there's an option to label us as panelist one, or, board member, advisory council member one, number two, number three. We're a small state. Everyone knows everyone. If one is seeking objective reviews, that will be extremely difficult in this particular with this particular mechanism. The reviews would still be out for the public. They just wouldn't be. It provides some protection. Like, could a panelist ultimately get sued? For example, will the state back us up as a panelist if a member of the panel decides that there's a really poorly designed proposal and states it as such, and runs afoul of the applicant? A degree of anonymity provides protection to the panelists that I think is important. And I don't think I'm a lone wolf in the opinion. You heard Dr. Raven. I know there are other members of this panel who feel likewise.
Dr. Hopton, I think I appreciate that, but you have to understand that we are subject as a state body, unfortunately, to new rules. And the state, if you feel like you're going to get sued and that's a risk, then that's your decision. I think the state does not represent you in that. If everything we do, and Jose, I would defer to you on whether or not you can say member one, member two, but my understanding is everything is public, just like Melinda and I, and everything we do every day is public. And that is part of the state money process. So Jose, do you want to at least answer that question about member one, disclosing the name?
So I don't think there's anything that would allow us to actually not disclose the name. So I completely agree that everything has to be done transparently. So there's no way around it. The NRS that actually created this advisory board doesn't talk about any confidentiality, and that would probably like the only other way to potentially get around this.
Any other questions or comments? Melinda.
All right.
So we'll jump into the timeline here. So now that we have a finalized RFA and scoring matrix, congratulations again. We will be working hard to get that published along with a set of frequently asked questions no later than February 13th. So the team is going to be working on that, and then we'll have the application open for 70 days. Applications will close April 24th, and then we'll have that week for the administrative review process by the Nevada Health Authority staff. And then in May, we're looking to have the advisory council grant evaluation meetings or meetings, depending on, the amount of applications and the process that the council decides upon. But looking to have that in May. And then the due date deadline for us is to have executed subawards. So all signatures obtained on those subawards by June 30th of 2026. And then starting those grant programs in July of 2026. So really excited to, get marching along this timeline with you guys. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Fry, for the record, it may be useful just for all the committee members and the chair if we define May a little bit more just because of people's schedules. Is there a way to say no sooner than May 10th or May 11th?
Good, good question.
Nice segue.
Okay, thank you.
So perfect.
Everybody's got like 50 schedules.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
right.
So just talking about next steps. So yes, scheduling is top of mind.
Okay.
So the first meeting that we're looking to schedule would be in March. I didn't add that to this timeline. I should have added that, but we need a meeting for the GME council to deliberate and vote on a final process for how they want to run or you all want to run the evaluation meeting in May. So that will be top to get scheduled. And then we'll also look to schedule that May meeting or 2 meetings, depending. And down at the bottom, you'll see, I have a recommendation to meet sometime the week of May 18th. The reason for that is because if you'll notice, we have the administrative review until May 1st. And so I want to give the council an ample amount of time to review these applications before meeting to discuss them. And so this will give a solid 2 weeks in between when you get the applications and then meeting. So so that's what I'm looking at, the week of May 18th for that meeting, hopefully. And then, so I don't know if you guys want to deliberate on a meeting date, or I can just send a doodle poll to everybody.
Doodle will be good.
Yeah.
Doodle's good?
Melinda, I just wanted to flag the Patient Protection Commission is meeting that Friday, so I know sometimes you use that Friday. Some people I think are on that committee too.
Yeah, what Friday is that?
Yeah, the 22nd.
22nd, okay.
Yeah, so just flagging that for you.
Thank
You
you.
didn't know that.
I
Yeah,
think Fridays are most difficult for people anyway. So.
Okay.
okay, no Fridays.
And I know the 19th, we're out of pocket the whole day for now. People are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just maybe do 2 weeks, the 18th and that second week.
Yeah.
And we'll do a doodle for, a poll for both weeks, just.
Okay.
in case. Yeah.
We can do that.
Because Memorial is 25th. so-
Exactly, I know, it's all these crazy,
Right, yeah.
yeah.
You're soon.
Yeah. So I'll send 2 doodle poll links. So first doodle poll will be for the March meeting. And then the second link will be for scheduling the May meeting. And I might hold 2 dates in May, just depending, that way we have it on
That's
everybody's
good.
calendar.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
So that was my my last slide. Do you guys have any questions or further discussion on that?
Comments? Questions?
There is one question, and that's maybe just related to asynchronous works for a committee member that has something that comes up, they can't be here. I'm very likely to be present for all these meetings, but say something happens, they've scored their stuff. We want that to be properly presented. It's asynchronous work. I think that should count. How is that envisioned, I guess?
We probably should talk about that at the March meeting,
Okay,
like
yeah,
Because-
the
We'll
process,
talk to
yeah.
the council.
what
too.
we can
Yeah.
do and.
We'll talk to Jose a little bit about that and figure out, I'm sure someone can maybe present yours, I just don't know if you vote, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just,
Yeah,
you
we'll
know,
figure, we'll look at it.
especially if it's been done and, you know,
Yeah,
Kind
no.
before.
Okay, any other feedback on the next steps? Okay, hearing none. Melinda, back to you for public
Back
comment.
to me. All right. Public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. I'd like to call for any public comments. Okay, seeing none, I'll pass it back to you, Chair.
All right, do I have a motion for conclusion?
Right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? Wants to sit here forever. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
I
all.
got a really deep
Bye.
break
Thank
for you.
you.
That's really-
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Forever. You'd really appreciate it. Remember, got the answer, right?
Yes.
So in the Wayback Machine, I never